Hey guys, it's Katelyn, and the title is not clickbait. I very recently dropped out of college, which was a big shocker to a lot of the people in my life, and I wanted to make this video not really as an explanation to those people because I don't necessarily feel like I need to do that, but I do want to keep this channel as accurate of a representation of me and my life, and this is a pretty big update, but I also wanted to provide um, just another example for other people out there that are considering doing something that's not uh, graduating from high school and going straight to a 4-year or 5-year university, because not that other people's videos necessarily helped me make my decision, but it did help with a lot of the mental weight that it took to do what was unexpected or against the grain of what, other people may have wanted. The main reason I left after not really being there for even a month maybe was because I didn't really think that I belonged there in the first place. I kind of always had an inkling that maybe I would go on a different path ever since like the 6th grade. I remember we had a project where we had to like talk about the careers we wanted. And we had to go in this database and look at job descriptions and how much they made and how much schooling they needed and it's XYZ. And I remember struggling with that because a lot of the things that I kind of always assumed that I was going to do were the types of things that wouldn't be listed on that type of database. They were things where you were very heavily self-employed or you were running a business and employing other people. Things like being a writer or a blogger and social media influencer, which was barely even heard of back then. And a designer, an artist. They were all these types of things that, even if I could get a formal career in it, I would want to try to freelance or, again, employ myself in one way or another. However, even back then, I was aware of the stigma and the fear against doing something like that, against not going to college, especially with the people that I was surrounded with. I've been in honors programs ever since the 6th grade, and even before that, I was in gifted classes. So I've always been around a community where a lot of people equate success and college. And so a lot of times if people ask me what I wanted to do, I always had my plan B, my plan C, what was that other career that I maybe considered to answer that question, because the few times that I did answer like, oh, I want to be an artist, it was always met with a little bit of tension. So for instance, the difference between that conversation and me saying like, oh, I want to be a nurse is the questions would be a lot more almost accusatory, even though I don't want to say that necessarily. So for example, the questions I get as an artist is like, how do you think you're gonna make that work? Or you don't plan on doing that full time, do you? Etc. But if I said I wanted to be a nurse, it would be like, oh, what type of nurse do you want to be? Where do you want to work? Do you want to be a traveling nurse? Like, where do you plan to go to school? It was a much lighter conversation, even if there was that presence of a lot of questions. And so I just kind of got tired of it. And I guess I lived a bit of a double life, which like on the outside to most people I would answer as if I had absolutely no doubts of doing a more traditional career. But deep down I knew that, I would want nothing more than to be an artist in a small studio apartment in New York, maybe even having to have some type of, part-time job on the side. But that's the dream, that's the vision that I had every single night. And I don't know exactly what it is particularly about those types of careers, but I just feel like they work very well with my personality type and the way that my energy flows throughout the day and throughout the week even, and just something about being able to create something for myself to mold a career around the role I want to serve, that it just has always spoken to me, and it's been hard for me to fully convince myself that I'm interested in anything else. I'd say the further that I got through school and the more that I was around these very college focused people, especially when I went to my second high school, which was a STEM college prep boarding school, it became harder and harder for me to be comfortable sharing the fact that at the very least I wanted a gap year because I was experiencing academic burnout. And by this point, I was starting to slip into a hole of not only was I, telling people like, oh, this is what I want to do on the surface, but I was also starting to try to convince myself of that so that I wouldn't have to be open about it ever. I could kind of constantly evade it because I found a way to make these more traditional paths work for me and to work into my life versus, going to college because that's what I needed to do something that I actually wanted. Hopefully that sentence made sense. That was my thought process. I wasn't going to college because like I wanted to be an engineer, and that was what was required of that career. I was finding careers to make college suit my interests and suit my end goals, and I think that once I got here, that really showed. And I'm saying all of this stuff in hindsight, but I don't think I was fully aware of how much I was letting the fear and the kind of desires of other people influence what I even thought about myself when it was clear to me in sixth grade what it was I wanted to do. I kind of got washed away and really wasted my time a little bit. I mean, I grew from it, obviously, but I spent a lot of time considering things that, like, I don't think genuinely I would have been happy pursuing. It got to the point where I originally planned on, at some point announcing, like, hey, I want to take a gap year. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, thank you for the opportunities, but this is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And I just never did. I applied to college like normal. I chose my major. I signed up for orientation. I got my schedule. I bought my books. I kept going through with this path that I wasn't fully convinced on until the point where I was just in college. I was there and I was like constantly feeling like, okay, I'm just gonna see it. I'm just gonna try it out. I'm just gonna see if maybe I go here, I end up falling in love with it. I don't have to do anything extraordinary or anything weird or anything like that. I will try to make this work, and it just never did. I didn't necessarily dislike my classes or the topics that they were about. In fact, in some of them, I was relatively interested in the academic topic itself, but I knew that at the time my major was civil engineering. I knew that I probably didn't really want to be a civil engineer, nor did I really want to be any of the other things that the school offered as majors. I really just wanted to be, fumbling around, making things, marketing those things, um, being some type of influencer, sharing myself, my personality, my life, and in marketing that, bringing it to the people that really want to see that type of content. And to me, it just makes a lot more sense to try to go after the things that won't always be there, the things that are riskier. While I don't have that many responsibilities and I can kind of handle the uncertainty with my life, if I find out for whatever reason that like I really, really, really want to go back or come back here, it will be here. That's the whole story, with a lot of things cut out. But basically, I only went to college out of fear of speaking out and upsetting people and having to, see people who were once excited for me to go to college and have to tell them that, oh, I'm not actually doing that. And it just didn't work out. Like, really, almost everything was perfect about me being in college. I loved the city, I loved my friends. Like I said, the classes were fine, but I just could constantly feel that I didn't have that thing that everyone else had, even if their major was undeclared. But that belief that they needed to be there, that being there was important for progressing their life in a way that they wanted it to go. So right now I'm back home. I don't expect my life to be super glamorous anytime soon. I'm currently struggling through the job hunt, trying to find some form of just earning money right now. And in my free time on the side, I'm exploring a bunch of different avenues of art, of photography and drawing and fashion design and altering clothes and just styling clothes in general. I'm experimenting with a bunch of different things. I might go traveling soon if I have the money and the time, and I probably will make a video sometime in the future that details more what my specific goals are, and I'm currently in the middle of filming what it's been like so far since I've dropped out of college. So I definitely, one of the goals I have is to come back to this channel. I've already started filming so many videos. So yeah, I hope this video was enjoyable, or at least of some type of value to you, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.